Hello, hello, hello. Hi, it's me, Camila Rose, and I am hoping you are having the most amazing, fantastic, wonderful day. I am in the mood to be a little nosy. So we're going to see what this eclipse energy is bringing because the eclipse has been doing its thing. And I had a little revelation. Oh, this is for Scorpios. Hi, Scorpios. I had a little revelation this morning where it was looking at the idea of, so eclipses are connected to the North and South Node, right? And so North and South Node are currently in Aries and Libra. And then, of course, we're having our eclipses this year in Aries and Libra. And so the themes are very present, very evident right now in the energy of what's going on. And so, like I mentioned in the other ones, this gives a lot of attention to Cancer and Capricorn placements because they'll be having squared energy to this. And then where Venus and Mars actually are is impacting things. And then, of course, the Mercury and all that stuff. So, like, there's just a lot going on in the skies. And I was like, you know what? I just want to see more about what is the eclipse story. Like, what is our eclipse message going to be about? I did the full moon readings, but I want to do ones just for like what's going on with this eclipse. So we're going to pull a little bit more info, get a little bit more into it, go a little deeper. So what's our main card for Scorpios for the eclipse? Ooh, the sun. Love that for you, Scorpio. I think this is actually an improvement because I feel like your reading for pretty much everything has been kind of rough, honestly. Not in a bad way, but a little in a bad way. But this is about you getting back out there, getting your confidence back, getting that energy back, getting back into the game. And honestly, I love that for you. We're starting off with a 7 of Swords, so a little lying, cheating, stealing, but perhaps it's just about you learning how to be clever, learning how to be a little bit more thoughtful and mindful of how you go about things and how you approach some topics. We have the Legacy card, 10 of Pentacles. We have the Queen of Wands. So there's a lesson here, perhaps someone who you may need to have some conversations with about your legacy, about that long-term commitment, about those long-term investments. Queen of Wands is giving the energy of it is going to be really important for you to be very confident, or you may be coming up with a lot of stuff that has to do with Leos, fire sign people. Fire signs will be hitting that trine energy. So if you have any of the placements in your astrological placements are at the same degrees or within the orb set of the eclipse or the North Node as it's doing its thing and moving around, everyone will kind of feel it. Those who have Leo or Sagittarius placements will be hitting that trine energy. Those who have Aquarius and Gemini placements will be getting that energy from the trine energy from the Libra. So there's just a lot of folks who may be impacted by this. And I know you're thinking, but I'm a Scorpio. I'm not really going to be feeling any of that. You will, though, because overall you'll have Venus somewhere in your chart, you'll have Mars somewhere in your chart, you'll have Jupiter somewhere in your chart. You will be feeling the impact of these things, especially since you're still carrying over some of the impact from the Venus Leo changes that we're going about from the Venus retrograde that happened over the summer. So you may still be dealing with some of this impact from a Leo in your life or a fire sign in your life, or you may need to be a little bit more confident, a little bit more self-assured, a little bit more clever in how you approach issues, especially if you're overthinking. You know, it's feeling like someone's running some game on you, but it's because you're so caught up in your own head and they seem so confident and self-assured that you're not seeing things for what they truly are. It's time for you to go do some inner work. High Priestess. I love this because High Priestess is definitely commenting on some of the major phases of what's going on with this integration process as the eclipses and the North Node, South Node kind of move around and do their thing. So our first part, we have, taking that leap of faith that's kind of working with that Jupiter energy that is currently in Taurus. And like I mentioned, you will be feeling the impact of this because Taurus right now is still in Taurus. Jupiter is still in Taurus, which means that you've been feeling some of this pull over the past year and a half from Jupiter being in opposition to your energy. So it's been pulling some of your energy. It's been pulling you to kind of take a look at what does your faith look like? What does that mean for you? And so you kind of take that, the overall guide of integration is to take this role, take this leap of faith, starting with the 0 and the Fool, to move to the Magician, which is everyone. I think it's wise for everyone to work with Magician energy right now. It's a beautiful combination of Mercury and Mars and fire and knowledge, with having an understanding of all the elements that are available to you, and then kind of going through the process to see kind of how you're being impacted by these eclipses, how you're being impacted by the North Node, South Node, how you're being impacted by the 8-year cycle of Venus, and its interactions with Mars, and then the impact of Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto, all the other planets, basically. But where are you in this integration process? Are you going through Are you going through ego inflation right now? And with some of this Leo energy and things like that, you may be getting to a point of recovery, of moving back to full integration of self through having a little bit of the ego inflation. Have you gone through ego alienation, which is definitely kind of more in alignment with your cards that you've had previously, which were kind of rough readings? Where it is that you might be feeling disconnected, disjointed, uprooted, unsure, ungrounded, things like that, and just feeling like things are just not working out in your favor, things are not working out for you. But we go from that Mercury, Mars kind of conjunction energy, which is not currently happening, but kind of those two energies mixing together in the sign of Aries, in the Magician energy, to being able to then move on to the High Priestess, which is your second card that came up here. And I think that you may be moving into a High Priestess state. And the High Priestess is saying that it cannot just be our ego, it cannot just be the self, but we must integrate. We must look at what is going on unconsciously for us, what is coming up for us, what might be some of the stories and narratives and the things that we need to reconcile, so that we are able to then move on to a space of creation, the 1, the 2 equaling 3, moving into an Empress role. So that instead of it just needing to be our will directing things, kind of an external work, and then the combination of the internal, external with the High Priestess, we can move to where we can actually make those things flow externally and have a really nice combination of this work. Although it would be very free and very flowing and creative, we would then need to stabilize and make it sustainable through the Emperor. But we have your High Priestess as the second card with that Knight of Wands. Again, that kind of fire of going within, tapping in and figuring out what might be some of those underlying desires, some of those underlying drives, some of those archetypes that are being activated within you, or that you may have been projecting onto other people, where you were not able to then see yourself as the sun, and would be more than likely experiencing some form of ego inflation, ego alienation. We then have the Queen of Cups. So again, these may be people in your lives. These may be you. You might be the Knight of Wands, rushing into things perhaps without thinking them through very well because you feel very passionate about it. Queen of Cups, really focusing on your emotional well-being, your health, really tapping into the internal information and well of, hey, if there's something that is activating my emotions and I'm having a really strong response, it's probably one of my unconscious elements, or of the archetype of the shadow, being activated. And from all of this, we get 2 twos, the High Priestess and the 2 of Swords. I always find this to be interesting as you go through kind of this. And this is your 3rd Swords card that's popping up for you, which means that this is something along that line of the cognitive development, of the cognitive space of things. Where there's perhaps some work to do there. And if we go through to, if you're getting to this 2 point, we need to maybe progress a bit to the 3. There perhaps is a lesson that you need to integrate and learn in order to really understand what it is that cognitively your thoughts are around this idea of finding peace, of finding joy, of being appreciated. And then be able to progress up through the other swords. Now, with the 2 of the High Priestess and the 2 of the 2 of Swords, there is a decision that needs to be made about how you would like to move forward, and perhaps it is time for you to slow down a little bit, to connect to your emotions, and to not cut your heart off in this, and to try to take the really logical approach, which will only lead you down a path of not being able to feel your way through things, but just taking that, again, cognitive approach to your solutions that you're looking for. I would definitely say open up to your heart, take your time. We're going back into the Wands with a 7 of Wands as your next card. There's our lovely Magician being highlighted by the Magician. As I mentioned, a perfect time to work with Magician energy, with this Aries, Mars, and Mercury because it is just really going to be helpful with understanding how to connect with your ego, what your ego may be trying to tell you, that all of the information that you need is available to you through the different elements. And so one of the things that you can do if you're interested in this is you can take a look at where Venus is currently in your chart, where Mars is currently in your chart, to also look and see what is going on with, which would be in Aries, but like where Aries is in your chart, where Libra is in your chart, what houses that they are ruling or are in, if there are any planets in those, if those are making any aspects, and then looking to see if there's any relationship going on between any planets that you have, like your sun, moon, or rising, that it would be in Scorpio, which is why you're watching this video. But because Mars also is the traditional ruler of Scorpio, things that happen to Mars impact Scorpio. They just do so in kind of an covert way. It's not going to be as in your face or as obvious as it would be if you were an Aries directly experiencing these conjunctions or these impacts of these movements, astrological movements. And so here we have this kind of I always say that the Seven of Wands to me always feels a little bit more defensive. It's that expansion. It's that kind of defending and exploration of, okay, I have successfully been able to overcome some obstacles, the friendly competition, the things like that. I have won the victory, I've won the crown. And now I have all of these people that are still kind of below me, and I'm kind of like have my wand and I'm standing up against them and saying, I'm still going to go forward and do the things I need to be doing in order to get what it is that I desire, leading to the Eight of Wands, which is the manifestation card. So we have the Seven of Wands with this Magician, clarified by the Magician, the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. So again, it is very much so perhaps going back internally and doing some work as opposed to trying to push so much externally. There's a lot more internal work that you need to be doing as opposed to this external movement that I think that you are trying to make happen, but it's not happening as easily as you would like to. There's some resistance there. Again, the Seven of Wands pushing back against the individuals with the other six wands below them, a Knight of Pentacles in reverse. There's some resistance to your kind of forcing of outward movement, outward progression, especially when it comes to perhaps your finances and things of that nature, especially if there is something related to legacy, long-term investments, long-term ideas, the thing that you're creating, perhaps whether this is a car, a family home, a family business, or something that you're wanting to create in order to have a legacy for your family, something to leave behind. There is a slowness going on there because there's some internal work that needs to happen, perhaps a little bit of continued exploration of your creativity and your drive. This slowdown, though, will bring some happiness with it. Connecting back to your internal fire will bring some joy and happiness. Perhaps even slowing down a bit in your work that you're doing will bring some happiness. I think the things not moving as quickly as perhaps you would have liked for them to is actually a good thing. Yes, beautiful. The outcome of this eclipse energy is to, let me move all this up a little bit, is to bring you to a space where you, like I said, this is a journey through these through the swords, and it is totally tracking in the work that you're in, the cards that are coming out for you. A 10 of Swords is all about the end of a stressful situation. Like I said, I would not be surprised if you have some type of very active air sign energy, or Venus or Mars or Jupiter in an air sign. But if you do not, it is the impact of the north-south node moving through Libra and the eclipse that we just experienced. Is that this is some air, some intellectual, cognitive integration, ego integration, shadow integration, bringing those things back together, back to self, back to one, bringing you back to the full, back to a space where you are able to have some, as I mentioned, the Jupiter in Taurus, and taking a look at the idea of what you have faith in, what are your values, what is of most importance to you in the pool, the opposition that you're feeling from Jupiter having moved through Taurus. So taking a chance on something new. Now that you're no longer stressed, finding balance with the Temperance, 1 foot in the waters of the unconscious, in the waters of the emotions, and 1 foot on the land, 1 foot on the practicality of what it is that your desires are, on the long-term ideas of what it is that you would like to do. Your final cards are all major arcana, the Fool, Temperance, and Judgment, which is all about fresh starts. It is about something that needed to be reborn, whether this was you who needed to be reborn because you'd been feeling a little stuck for a while, or whether this is a situation that needs to be reborn. Either way, there is a process of integration that is happening along your cognitive route around how you're thinking about going about things instead of and so there may be some, if we're looking at the thinking side of things, we're looking at the practical side of things, we're looking at the cognitive side of things, there may be some work you need to do with the wise old man archetype, which would also be double down on by the magician showing up, and some of allowing that progression to happen through the Fool, the magician, and then the high priestess, in order to actually get the manifestation, to actually get to things coming forth and being born. The egg is kind of incubating under the Empress right now, and nothing's kind of moving forward in the way it needs to. But that's because you're coming back to this idea of self, to the idea of the whole, of the one. And so part of that is kind of going through this process of what are the lessons that you've needed to learn? Have you actually sat down and taken a break in order to integrate them? Have you gone through the process of learning to trust yourself? Have you looked through the past to see the ways that you might be feeling stuck there, when in all actuality it is actually time for you to allow yourself to move forward, to leave those thoughts behind in order to progress to a better mental space, and then from there be able to be a little less reactive, a little bit more clever in how you approach issues with people that are in your life, and then finding yourself so that you are not stuck in your head all the time, so that you're not stuck in this merry-go-round of thoughts, feeling the stress, the anxiety, and the fear, and able to actually get sleep and rest at night, and then find yourself in a space where you are feeling much more that this is the end of the struggle, end of this mental space. This is the process that this eclipse is attempting to take you through, particularly when it comes to worrying about what you're creating for yourself, for your family, for those around you that you care about, and this inner passion, this inner fire that you may have been ignoring or pushing down in order to focus on material or health. It could be your health, but material manifestations. So that's going to be it for my lovely Scorpios. I love you. I'll see y'all later. Have a great one. Reach out if you would like some assistance in this integration process. Reach out if you would like to have a personal or private reading. I love y'all. See y'all later. Happy eclipse season. Bye.